This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FI Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Dr. Rajan Anand. And Dr. Rajan Anand is going to talk about politics, about who he is. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
So, the audience would be interested to know a little bit about your background and also how did you get interested in politics?
Well, see, I was always interested in politics, even when I was in India as a student. And when I came here, it just became passion. I was at UC Davis and I was elected as the president of the International Club. And from that, I invited Robert Kennedy.
Oh my gosh, long time ago.
Yes, long time ago. He was a senator when I invited him, but then when he came, he was a presidential candidate. And this was a very big event for Davis, a small campus. So that really brought me in the forefront. I introduced him, which was really a very big deal for me and big deal for the campus. So that's how I got interested. Then from that on, I was always interested. It became a passion.
This was 1968.
68,
and this is when he was assassinated as well.
Right, he was assassinated 2 weeks after he came to Davis.
2 weeks after, and his assassination did occur also in California.
Yes, he had won the primary that night, and then he was shot by the guy Sirhan in Los Angeles.
What a sad story.
Very sad story. It was very sad because I felt a personal loss.
It's great American,
right.
Great leader, and so you have been elected to the delegate to the several National Democratic Convention.
Right.
And I had experience to go there last time myself to Charlotte, North Carolina. So what was your experience and how does anyone become a delegate?
Well, I got elected 6 times, and it's not easy to get elected. You have to have enough friends who will go to the caucus and vote for you. So usually it's a very highly competitive thing.
Process.
Very competitive process. And I remember one guy telling me that he spent over $100,000 to get elected and still didn't get elected.
So the money didn't buy the vote.
Yeah. So you have to be known in the community, and you have some kind of clout. So I was member of the Orange County Democrat Party. Then I was elected to the California Democrat Party. So I was there for a long time. So first time I got elected was 1988 as the caucus delegate.
That was a long time ago.
I know. It's a long time ago. Then since then 6 times I got elected.
So did you go to Charlotte last time, North Carolina?
No, I did not go. I was not well that time.
Sure. I hope you're feeling better.
So I did not run for delegate last time.
Now, there's a clear differentiation between Democratic Party and the values and the vision of the Republican Party as well. And the Republican Party is sort of divided these days, as you probably know. So the question for the audience would be interested to know, why did you pick the Democratic Party rather than a Republican Party?
Well, see, one thing, Democratic Party is a very open party. And
in terms of the social issues?
Social issues.
And inclusiveness and being open?
Very open, very inclusive. And one thing I noticed that when I go to the Democratic Convention gathering, nobody ever asks me, where are you from? Which is really strange because a lot of people keep asking, where are you from? When did you learn English? And this is strange.
Is that out of curiosity? Is it out of the sort of hostility and the prejudice when they ask the question? Is it natural for people to ask the question because they don't? Because you and I don't look the same as they have been used to the Americans.
I was really surprised. I expected people to ask these questions, and when I go to the national conventions, on the last day I wear a turban.
You wear a turban.
Why
is that?
Just to attract attention.
To attract attention.
Yeah, people wear different kind of hats.
So you wear a turban.
I wear a turban.
So you wanted to be distinguished.
Right. And then they ask questions, what is this turban and all. But now people are used to it and they don't really ask questions. One thing I found in the Democratic Party is it's open and allows you to speak up your mind. I was in the party when the California Governor Jerry Brown was chairman.
He's now the governor now.
He's second time become. He was chairman, and I disagreed with him openly. So you can openly express your opinion, and not worry about
That's
anything.
how the democracy flourishes.
Right.
That's the way you will have the voice in the vote in the party.
But in the Democrat Party is much more than the Republican Party. Plus, it's easier to get elected in the Democrat Party because
Than
of
the Republican.
minorities.
How did you get engaged into the political, in other parties, but you had appointments by the administration at the
Right.
U.S. State Department of Agriculture. So tell me a little bit about how do you get the appointment, and if the audience is interested to know
Yes, see-
how would you go about doing that?
There are 5 C's for getting in this one: connections, contact, credential, commitment to the party, and then get this one here. So you must have some contacts. So I developed contact during the campaign when I was campaigning for Bill Clinton.
Oh, President Clinton.
I did several fundraisers for him. So that's how you establish contacts, either by fundraising or getting involved in the party. Since I'm not a very rich man, I did not get involved in fundraising, but I was arranging fundraising and not giving my money. And then it happens that you get to know people. And I was a professor, and professor's job is a tenure job. You understand the tenure job is a permanent job. You don't want to leave.
You're a professor where?
In California.
California.
I come
So when
from
did you
California.
come to DC?
95.
Oh, so you came here to take the job with the USDA?
Clinton, yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So
95.
what were you doing at USDA, and what was your accomplishment there?
In 95, I met with the chairman of the Clinton campaign, and he says, Raj, why don't you come to Washington? And I said, what will I do Washington? I have a tenured job. I don't want to leave my tenured job. He said, no, just come for this. He somehow knew me, but I did not know him that well. I came to know him very well later on. He just recently was appointed as the ambassador to Germany. Very nice person.
That's not Emerson.
John Emerson.
Oh, okay. I do know John's from LA.
Yeah, John Emerson. I know John Emerson very well.
Oh, okay, I know.
And he just got back to Germany as an ambassador. And he invited me here, so that I went to the Department of Education. Those days, the appointments take place that the White House would recommend some people to the agency, and the agency will select whether they want this person or not. So I went to the Department of Education, I went to Health and Human Services. Then I came back and somebody said, why don't you go to agriculture? I said, why would I go to agriculture? I have no background in agriculture. He said, no, but you have background in nutrition. And the agriculture department has 67% budget as nutrition.
Yes.
I said, okay, I'll go
I don't
there.
know about that high, but I
Yeah,
thought.
67%. So then I went there, and that's how I ended up in USDA.
And what
So
did you do there?
I was the head of an agency.
Head of an agency.
Self-standing agency called Center for Nutrition Policy and Promotion. It's an agency that develops dietary guidelines and revises them every 5 years. And it also is a big agency that does the food stamps, which is now called the different names, and Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. There is also school lunch program, school breakfast, 15 programs. And Center is just part of that agency, which is really research oriented, and it does the dietary guidelines.
Now, the question that I have for you, what made you, for example, do this thing? So obviously you did because you want to serve our country,
Right.
and thank you very much for your serving our country. It's very important for all of us to serve our country. What was your significant accomplishment, if you have to say that, at the USDA when you were there?
Well, the significant contributions, my contributions were really to develop dietary guidelines
Okay.
based on science, since I came from science background. Plus, when I came here, since I came from academic environment, I started symposia, one-day symposia, and I did several symposia. First was on childhood obesity. At that time, it was not a very big deal. But the Secretary of Agriculture, Dan Glickman, became very impressed. And Shirley Watkin, who was Undersecretary, they got very much impressed. They got a lot of press there. The hall was full of people.
So that was your significant accomplishment.
Yes, this was that. Still when I go to some function and Glickman is there, he still introduces me, the man who...
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, so-
He's from Kansas, if I remember.
He's from
correctly.
Kansas, yeah. He's a
Now,
congressman, yeah.
now tell me a little bit about the fact that you work for the Clinton administration. Did you get an opportunity to work for the Obama administration as well?
Yes. See, when I went back after the end of my tenure in 2001, I went back to California to teach. And then I came back in 2008, and I was sitting home doing nothing. I retired from California. And so I said, well, maybe I should try. Since I had the contacts there, I called some people, and I got the name of the person who was the White House liaison.
For agriculture.
Agriculture department.
So you called him?
I called him.
Okay.
It was John Burge. And he said, why don't you come over for meet me? So I went there, met him. So he got impressed with my resume. He said, okay, we'll call you for interview. So I came back. 3 months passed, nothing happened. So I then picked up the phone, I called him, I said, John, what happened to my interview? He said, no interview, you got selected. I said,
You got
"What?"
selected. So what did you do there? Same thing?
Same thing. So no, what happened was, he asked me what would I like to do. I casually said, not really meant to. I casually said I don't mind going back to my old position.
Okay.
So that's why I ended up in old position.
So when did you retire?
I retired just about 1 month ago.
So what made you come to the United States? I mean, obviously you came as a student, became
Yes.
professor, and then you decided to stay.
Yes, that's a long story. See, I came to, since my family came from Pakistan and they had lost everything there.
During the partition?
During the partition.
Okay.
So they really did not have enough money for me to support it. So I was a good student, and my roommate was very, 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 very anxious to go to the United States. And
Your
one day-
roommate back in back in India?
Back in India. One day he comes and throws these application forms on me. He says, if I had your grades,
I'm
I
going.
would not be sitting there.
I am gay. I'm going to the United States to renew
So
my dream.
He gave me 2 applications. One was to University of Michigan and one was Davis. I applied both places, 2 places. I got accepted both places. But the Michigan was not giving me any money. So Davis gave me money,
Scholarship.
scholarship.
So you can pay your tuitions.
So I did not have money to pay for my airfare. So I came, that time the government was allowing only $8.
Yeah.
So I came with $8, but I had a scholarship here, which was my major professor, who was a wonderful person. He recently passed away, and he helped me with the monetary, and he helped me. I mean, he just helped me. He took me under his wings, and then helped me throughout my stay in Davis. So that's how I ended up in Davis.
And that says about America.
Right.
It says about America's inclusiveness, America's openness, and America's embracing this bright students like you, so that and making investment in you. So
Right.
it is high time that you and I, all of them, make investment to America by sharing and giving.
Absolutely, I so 100% agree with you.
Because they gave you the letter of opportunities
Right,
that
right.
you and I did not have.
Right.
So let me just shift and to our discussion a little bit on you had many positions in NFIA. What does that stand for, and what does it do?
It's a National Federation of Indian American Association. It's a group of umbrella organization of various organizations, and it does a lot of things. It represents the Senate and Congress. It gives testimony, and has given the testimony to the Senate. But when the issues related to India or Indian Americans come, it takes a stand and comes forefront and helps people.
Is it different than NCAIA
It's
is?
very much different.
Where I gave my speech not too long
It's
ago, if
very-
you were there.
It's very much different. NCIE is a local organization.
And,
It
and,
does
this
not
is
have-
and this is a
This is umbrella organization, national.
okay.
It's umbrella. NCIE not umbrella organization.
Okay.
So it's just a local organization, and it's also split into 2 parts. But the NFIA is a umbrella organizations. It has had president from 7 different states, and every 2 years we have election, fiercely fought election for president. So I was elected president and then elected chairman for that.
So you still continue in that role?
As a ex-president, yes. former
Ex-president.
president.
Okay. So did they meet in Washington D.C. or?
They beat Washington DC.
So
Washington,
what do they promote? They're promoting
in
what?
Washington, we do actually several events. We do the congressional luncheon every year.
Okay.
Every congressional luncheon into which we invite congressmen and senators, and usually they come because of your personal contacts. And then we have, for the last 3 years, we started a women seminar. My wife conducts that one.
That's Angela.
Angela.
Yeah.
And that has become very, very successful.
Very good.
And it's extremely successful, and she brings the best and brightest speakers from State Department, from White House, and that really has caught up big popularity.
So it has reignited it.
Oh yeah.
Now, one of the questions that a lot of people ask, the Indian American community is very much divided. They don't have a one unified force speaking. What would you do in a situation like that? What do you say we should do?
We bring a huge baggage from India.
Huge baggage from India.
The baggage of provincialism, baggage of religious divide. So we come over here, we don't identify.
And we continue.
We continue that one. And we don't identify as Indians. We identify as Gujaratis, Bengalis, Punjabis.
So it's a regional.
Regional.
Rather than being Indian American.
Right. And so the NFI was really established to bring them under one umbrella as Indians. So we have all kind of people in this organization. So we actually enforce and promote Indianness. And so we have common issues, we take common issues that come up, and then people join hands. For the last issue, I remember this was a nuclear deal, in which we had a lot of opposition in the Congress in the beginning. We worked very hard. So
you played a very important role, your organization?
We worked very hard.
But the credit went to, a lot of credit went to US PAC, US India PAC.
Well,
or because they promote themselves? They do a better job in promoting it?
I would not comment on that.
Okay.
But they were part of that, but they did.
Oh, okay. So it was something that you all worked together.
We actually people came from different part of the country for 3 days, and we went from office to office, and we actually told, and in fact, not only US Impact, this guy Kapoor, Ramesh Kapoor.
Oh, he's from Boston, Massachusetts.
Ramesh Kapoor played a very important role. He was coming here every week, and then he would.
Oh, he's a good friend of Senator Kerry,
Yes.
or Secretary Kerry.
Yeah,
Is that what I understand?
Yeah, he would. That time we had a lot of clouds, so he would call someone locally. For example, he wanted to meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein. He knew that I was the one who knew Senator Dianne Feinstein, so he called me. We went there, and in fact, he could not get the appointment with Senator himself, so got an appointment with the legislative assistant. So he said, "Why don't you come?" I said, "I'll come there." Sure. I went there, and we talked about, and he was presenting the viewpoint of India on nuclear deal, and then Senator Dianne Feinstein passed. She looked at the door, she saw me and came in, which is very nice of her, and says, "Oh, I know you, I know you." So she came, and then, funny thing is and she was against this deal originally, and Kapoor told her that if you vote for this bill, the entire Indian community will be for you. And she said, "I already have friends."
Now the question is this good for America? Is this good for India? Is there any lot of benefit that derived in both countries?
I think it is good for both countries, because in the American businesses will gain if it ever.
They haven't gained anything yet.
They have not, because it's not been implemented fully.
Okay.
So if once
have the Parliament passed it in India? I know they passed it in Congress over here.
They passed in India also, Parliament, yeah. But it has not been implemented in the sense that it has not gone full-fledged, where the Indian government has ordered some parts, and from the American companies. So
what do you think are the major issues and challenges in the relationship between US and India these days?
Well, see, the issues have changed. When originally I came over here, the relations were much worse. And the reason for much worse was because India routinely voted against United States, the United Nations.
Well, that was that.
That's the Cold War, and they took side of Russia. Russia took side of India, and so relations were very, very bad. But slowly they improved. And funny thing is, when the relations improved, our respect also improves, because we now respected in the United States a lot more than we used to be.
Because
exactly.
You're talking about the community itself,
yeah.
But also US-India shares a very important, which is about a common interest, and that is the democracy and the diversity.
They always had this interest, but say there were some congressmen who were very much against India and Indian policies, and their biggest complaint was India does not vote with us, and so That's the reason why they were.
Well, India still does not vote on all the issues, but when you're a friend,
important issues.
when you're a friend,
You can talk
I mean, you can at least talk about the issues, and you
Right.
can say, you know, here's some of the things we can talk, we can do. Here's some of the things you can
Right.
do. This. So there's always that kind of a dialogue. But at least the dialogue is going between the two countries, which is very, very important and healthy
Absolutely.
for both of us.
Absolutely.
And I admire and appreciate the leadership of Prime Minister Singh, who's going to be here tomorrow,
Right.
as I understand. So, well, thank you very much for what you do for US improving the U.S.-India relationship,
thank you
and
very
very
much.
much. And I hope you continue to do this work, because that is a very important work for all of us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions to all these causes.
Sure.
I know you've been very, very active. in
You're
the
most
community.
welcome. And that is our show. This is Frank Islam wishing you a great week. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.